Everyone's heard about the minimum wage, but let's talk about exactly what it means for you. My name is Adam Gonnelli, and my firm handles cases where workers don't get what they're entitled to. Now, the minimum wage is $7.25 all across the United States. That means the minimum you can make per hour, anyone in the country, $7.25. However, some states have higher minimum wages, which means the worker's entitled to whatever's higher, the federal minimum wage of $7.25 or the state minimum wage. For example, Massachusetts and California have an $8 an hour minimum wage. The city of San Jose has a $10 an hour minimum wage, and the city of San Francisco has the highest minimum wage in the country at $10.55 an hour. The state of Washington has the highest state minimum wage in the country at $9.19 an hour. Illinois and Connecticut both have an $8.25 an hour minimum wage. So workers need to be aware of what the minimum wage is in their state or even sometimes in their city. Now, not all workers are entitled to a straight minimum wage. If you fit one of the so-called exemptions, you're not entitled to a minimum wage, although in practice, workers who fit one of those exemptions rarely have any minimum wage problems. And those exemptions are if you're an executive, where you regularly oversee 2 or more people, if you're an administrative worker, which generally means you're a professional that helps management like an accountant or a marketing expert, or if you're a professional, which means you have an advanced degree in some specialized field of learning like a doctor or a lawyer. There's a common misconception that if you work in a restaurant as, say, a server or a bartender, that you don't need to make the minimum wage. Well, that's not true. There are special and very specific regulations on what happens to the minimum wage for tipped employees. You may have heard of the tip credit, which means that if you're one of those workers, your employer can pay you, under federal law at least, $2.13 as long as you make enough in tips to get up to the minimum wage of $7.25. If it doesn't, your employer has to make up the difference. That's something to be aware of, but also be aware that in your state, such as New York, there may be a higher tip credit, which means your employer has to pay you more than $2.13. Now, why do you need to know this information? The minimum wage may seem pretty simple, but in practice it seldom is. If you have any questions about the minimum wage, here's what I want you to do. Pick up the phone and call us. My firm handles these sorts of questions every day, and we're happy to help. My name is Adam Gonnelli, and I'm a labor lawyer.